Most people ignore pennies, but some are worth a fortune. Rare Lincoln and wheat pennies with special dates, mint marks, or errors can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Before you spend that 1 cent, take a closer look. You could be holding real treasure. The 2000 United States 1 cent penny may seem like the kind of coin you barely notice, the kind that jingles around in your pocket, disappears into coin jars, and gets used without a second thought. For most people, it's worth exactly 1 cent and nothing more. But as collectors know all too well, some of these seemingly ordinary coins are hiding secrets. Hidden among the billions of 2000 pennies are examples that are rare, valuable, and fascinating, worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. And that's what makes the story of the 2000 Lincoln cent such an exciting one. To appreciate why this particular year of the Lincoln cent is special, let's first look at the design. On the obverse, or front, you see the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln. His portrait has been on the penny since 1909, marking the 100th anniversary of his birth. By 2000, it was already a design Americans had lived with for generations. Above his head, the word liberty stretches proudly, while the motto "I in God we trust" is written across the top rim. To Lincoln's right sits the date, 2000, and just below that, the mint mark. It might be a P for Philadelphia, a D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco proofs. Lincoln's portrait remains sharp and commanding, a constant reminder of one of the most influential figures in American history. Turn the coin over, and you'll find the reverse still displaying the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. This design, first introduced in 1959, had already been used for over 40 years by 2000. Across the top, United States of America, beneath that E pluribus unum, and at the bottom, 1 cent. Look closely at the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, and you can even see a tiny depiction of the statue of Lincoln seated inside, a hidden detail that always amazes collectors when they notice it for the first time. Now, here's where the story gets even more interesting. The year 2000 was a big one for penny production. The Philadelphia Mint produced more than 5.5 billion cents, and the Denver Mint struck over 8.7 billion. San Francisco made around 4 million proof coins for collectors. Add those numbers together, and you get an incredible total, over 14 billion pennies made in a single year. That makes the 2000 penny one of the most common coins of its time. But here's the catch. Rarity isn't just about how many were made. It's about how many survive in perfect condition or how many carry minting errors that slipped through unnoticed. That's where collectors find their treasures. Condition plays a huge role in value. Most 2000 pennies you'll encounter are scratched, worn, or dull. They've lived their lives in circulation and aren't worth more than a cent. But a small fraction escaped into the world in pristine shape. On the grading scale, coins rated mint state 67 or higher are extremely hard to find. A 2000 D penny graded MS 68 red by PCGS once sold for over $1,000 at auction. Even in MS 67, these coins can bring $50 to $150 depending on the collector's demand. Think about that, 1 cent becoming $100 or more, simply because it's preserved in flawless condition. The proof coins from San Francisco tell another part of the story. These were made on carefully prepared planchets using polished dies, producing sharp designs with mirror-like fields and frosted devices. A 2000S proof cent graded PR 70 Deep Cameo, the highest grade possible, has sold for more than $100 at auction. While many proof cents from 2000 survive in great shape, absolute perfection is always rare, and collectors are willing to pay for it. But where the 2000 penny really stands out is with its varieties and mint errors. These are the coins that truly drive collectors wild, because they represent mistakes and anomalies that slipped past quality control. Instead of being tossed aside and melted down, they made their way into circulation. And when collectors find them, they pay handsomely. One of the most famous 2000 penny varieties is the wide AM reverse. On most 2000 pennies, the spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse is close together, known as the close AM variety. But in some rare cases, the mint accidentally used a reverse die intended for proof coins, which features a wider spacing between the A and M. These wide AM pennies are extremely scarce. A circulated example might sell for $50 to $100, but in mint state condition, values climb rapidly. One 2000 wide AM cent graded MS-67 red sold for nearly $500 at auction. Imagine finding that in pocket change. There's also the opposite case. The close AM variety showing up where it shouldn't, though for 2000, the wide AM is the more famous and valuable error. These varieties remind us how even the smallest detail, a fraction of a millimeter in letter spacing, can make the difference between a coin worth a penny and one worth hundreds of dollars. Then come the classic mint errors. Off-center strikes are always popular. If the blank wasn't aligned properly in the press, the design ends up shifted, leaving part of the coin blank. Minor off-centers, just a few percent, might bring $20 to $40. But dramatic off-centers, 50% or more, with the date still visible, can fetch hundreds. A 2000 penny with a 60% off-center strike once sold $4.375. Double strikes also capture attention. If a coin isn't ejected properly and is struck again, you can see overlapping images of Lincoln or the memorial. Dramatic double strikes, especially when the second strike is rotated, can bring $200 to $400 at auction. Broad strikes are another type, created when the collar that normally holds the coin in place during striking is missing. These coins spread outward, looking wider and flatter than usual. A broad-struck 2000 penny in uncirculated condition might bring $75 to $150. Clipped planchets show up from time to time too. When blanks are punched too close together, the result is a coin with a curved clip along the edge. A clipped 2000 cent might be worth $50 to $100, depending on size and eye appeal. And, of course, double dies. Some 2000 pennies show doubling on the date, lettering, or Lincoln's eye. Dramatic double dies are always in demand, and prices can jump into the hundreds depending on visibility and condition. Auction results highlight just how valuable these coins can be. Wide AM cents in high-grade selling for $500, double strikes over $400, off-centers around $375, and pristine MS-68 examples crossing the $1,000 mark. All of these came from a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about. That's what makes the 2000 penny such a fascinating study. On the one hand, it's everywhere. Billions exist and most are worth 1 cent, plain and simple. But among those billions are a few rare survivors and mistakes that collectors are willing to pay big money to own. And the only way to find them is to look closely, to pay attention, to treat every penny as if it might be something extraordinary. The story of the 2000 Lincoln cent is really the story of coin collecting itself. It's about turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. It's about spotting details that most people overlook. It's about the thrill of discovery, the idea that history and fortune can be hiding in plain sight, just waiting for someone sharp enough to notice. So the next time you see a penny dated 2000, don't just toss it aside. Hold it up to the light. Look at the surfaces, the date, the mint mark. Check the AM spacing on the reverse. Examine it for off-center strikes, doubling, or clips. Because you never know, you might be holding one of the rare survivors worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And that's the magic of the 2000 penny. It's not just a coin. It's a piece of history, a hidden treasure, and a reminder that sometimes the smallest things can carry the biggest surprises. The 2005 United States 1 cent penny might not immediately strike you as special when you see it in your hand. It feels light, familiar, and so common that most people toss it into a jar or ignore it altogether. But what if I told you that this very penny, the kind you might overlook every day, carries with it a hidden story of history, design, minting quirks, and even surprising collector value? What if I told you that, in certain rare cases, this same coin has fetched incredible prices at auction, turning a simple cent into something worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars? The truth is that the 2005 penny, particularly when errors and high-grade examples come into play, is not something to underestimate. Let's start with the background. The 2005 1 cent coin continues the long-running Lincoln cent series. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse has always featured the iconic bust of Lincoln facing right, a portrait so recognizable that it's become a symbol of American coinage itself. On the reverse in 2005, the familiar Lincoln memorial design, first adopted in 1959, still held its place. This reverse was designed by Frank Gasparo and would remain in use until 2008 before being replaced by the Lincoln Bicentennial and Shield reverses. The Lincoln Memorial design, detailed with tiny pillars and even a barely visible statue of Lincoln inside, had been a staple of American pocket change for nearly half a century. By 2005. This time, the penny had long since lost its copper core. Since mid-1982, the U.S. Mint shifted composition from 95% copper to copper-plated zinc, producing pennies that weigh only 2.5 grams instead of 3.11 grams. While they still looked the same, they were cheaper for the mint to make, and by 2005, these copper-plated zinc cents had been the standard for over 2 decades. The year 2005 saw pennies struck at both Philadelphia and Denver for circulation, as well as at San Francisco for proof sets. Billions were made, which means at face value, they are still extremely common. But as collectors know, rarity is not just about how many coins exist. It's about how many survive in pristine condition, or how many show unusual features caused during minting. That is where the 2005 penny begins to shine. Mint errors are the first key to value, and for 2005 pennies, several errors can make an otherwise ordinary cent incredibly valuable. Take off-center strikes, for example. These occur when the blank planchet isn't seated correctly in the press, resulting in a coin with part of its design missing and a large blank crescent. A 2005 penny with just 5% off-center might fetch only a modest premium, maybe $20 or $30, but coins struck 40% or 50% off-center with the full date visible can sell for hundreds of dollars. The rarity and dramatic appearance of these coins make them highly collectible. Then there are double die errors, always among the most sought after by collectors. When the die itself has a doubled image, it transfers to every coin it strikes. Collectors carefully examine 2005 pennies for doubling on the inscriptions, "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and even the date itself. A dramatic double die penny from 2005, though scarce, could bring strong premiums. Historical double die cents from other years, like 1955 and 1969s, have sold for tens of thousands, and while the 2005 issues are not as dramatic, any confirmed double die commands serious collector attention. Clipped planchets are another fascinating error. This happens when the blank was punched too close to the edge of the metal sheet, leaving part of the coin missing in a curved, crescent shape. A clipped 2005 penny is instantly noticeable and often sells for $50 to $100 or more depending on size and eye appeal. Even more dramatic are transitional or wrong planchet errors. Imagine finding a 2005 penny struck on a dime planchet, weighing only 2.27 grams and appearing silvery instead of copper. Or perhaps one struck on a foreign planchet intended for another country. These rare mint mistakes can be worth hundreds or even thousands, depending on type and rarity. One of the most exciting categories for collectors, however, comes from missing clad layer or plating errors. Since 2005 pennies are copper-plated zinc, sometimes the copper layer fails to cover the zinc core properly. This leaves coins with missing copper, exposing the bright silvery zinc underneath. These are highly collectible, with values ranging from $100 to several hundred depending on size and severity of the missing layer. But error coins are not the only path to value. Condition plays an enormous role. Most 2005 pennies went straight into circulation, gathering scratches, dings, and discoloration. Finding one in pristine condition, especially graded MS67 or higher by PCGS or NGC, is no easy task. The grading scale runs from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. A 2005 penny in MS67 condition might sell for $50 to $100, while MS68 examples, nearly flawless, have brought auction prices as high as $300 to $500. The true gems, certified in the highest grades, show razor-sharp details, blazing luster, and no distracting marks. Collectors building registry sets where they compete to own the highest graded coins possible are willing to pay strong premiums for these top-end 2005 pennies. Proof coins struck at San Francisco also hold significant value when preserved in perfect grades. A 2005's penny with deep cameo contrast, meaning frosty raised designs against mirror-like fields, graded PR70 DCAM, can fetch over $100 despite being common in lower grades. The perfect score of 70 makes all the difference. Auction records reinforce just how valuable the 2005 penny can be in special circumstances. One dramatic off-center error penny from this year brought in several $100s, while a high-grade MS-68 red cent sold for multiple times that amount. And rare plating or planchet errors can push the price higher still. These sales prove that the humble cent, even as modern as 2005, still has the power to surprise collectors and investors alike. Think about it. Billions of these coins circulate daily, passed from hand to hand, lost in jars, buried in couch cushions. Yet within that sea of copper-plated zinc, a few rare examples exist that elevate a 1-cent piece into something truly extraordinary. That's the magic of coin collecting, the possibility that treasure might be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone observant enough to recognize it. For those who love history, the 2005 penny also connects to a broader story. It was struck in a time when the penny itself was under debate, with questions about whether it should even continue being produced given its declining purchasing power and the cost of production often exceeding its face value. And yet, year after year, the mint continued to strike billions of them, ensuring that the Lincoln cent would remain the most familiar coin in America. That fact alone adds cultural weight to the 2005 issue, which belongs to one of the most enduring coin series in U.S. history. So the next time you spot a 2005 penny, don't just dismiss it as a piece of near-worthless change. Take a closer look. Check the date, look for doubling, examine its surfaces for errors, and imagine its journey. Could it be one of the rare high-grade examples? Could it carry a dramatic error that transforms its value from 1 cent to hundreds or even more? The truth is, these coins are out there, and every collector knows the thrill of turning what looks like a simple penny into a true prize. In the end, the 2005 1-cent penny represents more than just small change. It carries the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, the artistry of American coin design, the technical precision and occasional flaws of modern minting, and the potential for surprise that keeps collectors searching. Whether it's a dramatic error worth hundreds, a pristine gem that brings $500 at auction, or simply a sentimental keepsake from a meaningful year, the 2005 penny proves that even the smallest coin can hold enormous value. The 2019 United States 1-cent penny is one of those coins that millions of people handle every single day without a second thought. It sits at the bottom of purses, hides in couch cushions, slips between car seats, and often gets left in take a penny, leave a penny trays at convenience stores. To most people, it's just a small, copper-colored coin worth 1 cent. But to collectors, the 2019 penny is much more than that. Some of these coins, depending on condition and minting errors, have sold at auctions for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. It's a powerful reminder that even the most common coin can carry hidden value, if you know what to look for. Let's begin with the design itself. The penny has been around since 1909 with the introduction of the Lincoln cent, honoring the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. In 2019, the obverse of the penny still bore the familiar bust of Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner more than a century earlier. Lincoln's portrait faces right, and above his head arches the word Liberty. To the left side of the bust, in small but clear lettering, you see the motto "In God We Trust." To the right, along the edge of the coin, you'll find the date 2019, accompanied by the mint mark. For that year, pennies were struck at Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with a D, and San Francisco with an S for proof coins. Below Lincoln's shoulder, you can still see Brenner's initials VDB, a detail collector's treasure. The reverse design in 2019 continued the Union Shield motif, introduced in 2010 to replace the 4 different bicentennial reverse designs issued in 2009. Designed by Lyndall Bass and sculpted by Joseph Mena, the shield design features a large Union shield with 13 vertical stripes joined under a horizontal bar at the top. Across the shield is a banner with the word 1 cent. Above it, United States of America is inscribed, while at the bottom sits the motto E pluribus unum. The shield represents unity, strength, and the federal government's role in preserving the nation, a powerful symbol for a coin as humble as the penny. Now, the mintages for 2019 were enormous. Philadelphia struck over 3.5 billion pennies, Denver produced over 3.6 billion, and San Francisco added nearly 1.5 million proof coins. That means in total, more than 7 billion pennies were minted that year. With numbers like that, it's clear that most 2019 pennies are common and worth only 1 cent. You'll find them everywhere, and they will never run out. But as collectors know, rarity isn't always about how many coins are made. It's about condition and errors. Condition is the first thing that sets certain 2019 pennies apart. Coins are graded on the 70-point Sheldon scale, with mint state grades running from MS60 to MS70. The vast majority of 2019 pennies grade somewhere around MS64 or MS65 when freshly pulled from rolls. But a small fraction survive in nearly flawless condition. In top grades like MS68 or MS69, these coins become highly desirable. At auction, a 2019 D penny graded MS69 red sold for over $1,000. Even MS68 red examples can bring $100 to $250, depending on demand. Proof coins from San Francisco are also popular, especially in the highest grades of PR70 Deep Cameo, where they can sell for $50 to $150, but the real excitement comes from minting errors and varieties. These are the mistakes and quirks that turn ordinary coins into valuable collectibles. The 2019 penny is no exception, and several errors from this year have caused a stir in the collecting world. One of the most talked about errors for 2019 was the double die variety. A double die happens when the die itself carries a misalignment of the design, causing doubling on the struck coins. Collectors found examples of 2019 pennies with noticeable doubling on the inscriptions and design elements. Depending on visibility and demand, these double die pennies have sold for anywhere from $50 to $500. Off-center strikes are another dramatic error. When the planchet isn't properly centered in the press, the design is struck partially off the coin. Slight off-centers of 5% or 10% might sell for $20 to $40, but dramatic off-centers of 50% or more, especially when the date remains visible, can fetch $200 to $400. A particularly striking 2019 D penny with a 70% off-center strike sold for over $500 at auction, proving just how desirable these errors can be. Broad strikes also occurred in 2019. These happen when the coin is struck without the collar in place, allowing the metal to spread outward and create a stretched, distorted coin with no defined rim. Broad-struck pennies from 2019 have sold for $50 to $150, with more extreme examples bringing higher prices. Another category of error is die clashes. This happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghost-like images of one side's design on the other. 2019 pennies with strong die clashes often sell for $40 to $100. Though unusual or dramatic examples can top $200. Clipped planchets are another popular error type. These occur when the blank metal discs are punched too closely together on the sheet, resulting in coins with curved or straight clips missing part of their edge. A clipped 2019 penny can range from $30 to $200, depending on size and condition. But perhaps the most valuable error coins from 2019 are wrong planchet strikes. This happens when a penny design is mistakenly struck on a planchet meant for another denomination. For instance, a 2019 penny struck on a dime planchet or even on a foreign coin planchet can sell for thousands of dollars. At auction, a 2019 D penny struck on a dime planchet sold for more than $3,000. These coins stand out immediately. They may appear smaller or the wrong color, making them obvious to collectors and casual finders alike. All of these examples highlight the importance of looking closely at every coin you come across. A simple glance may not reveal anything special, but under magnification, those details can turn 1 cent into hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Auction results confirm just how much excitement surrounds this year. MS69 red coins selling for over $1,000. Double dies bringing hundreds. Off-center errors surpassing $500. Wrong planchet strikes crossing the $3,000 mark. These numbers prove that even modern pennies with billions minted can hold immense value when the right combination of rarity, condition, and error comes into play. Beyond the dollars and cents, the 2019 penny is also part of a broader story. The Lincoln cent has now been in continuous production for more than a century, making it the longest-running coin design in U.S. history. Over that time, it has witnessed monumental changes in the nation. the Great Depression, World Wars, civil rights movements, and technological revolutions. Every year's issue, including 2019, becomes a snapshot of its time, carried in pockets and purses as silent witnesses to history. The Union Shield design itself connects to that idea of national unity. At a time when the United States continues to grapple with divisions, the shield on the back of the penny is a reminder of strength, endurance, and the principles that hold the country together. It's fitting that such a small coin, often overlooked or even dismissed, carries such weighty symbolism. So the next time you see a 2019 penny, don't just toss it aside. Look closer. Is the strike perfectly sharp? The surfaces gleaming with luster, free from scratches and blemishes? It might be a high-grade rarity worth grading and selling for hundreds. Is it off-center, clipped, or oddly colored? Could be an error worth hundreds or even thousands. What seems like just 1 cent could, in reality, be a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. That's what makes coin collecting so fascinating. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, the everyday into the unforgettable. And in the case of the 2019 Lincoln penny, it proves once again that history, artistry, and value can come in the smallest of packages.